Hi everyone. Today I'd like to talk about shape. Maybe give you some ideas on how you might do a project that actually focuses on shape. Here's Picasso, and you can see the obvious shapes that are formed. I've used Vermeer as a great example of an early Renaissance painter who uses shape in the floor, the angles, the perspective, the harpsichord in the background, the paintings. Georgia O'Keeffe with her triangular shapes, the bell tower, the roof line. Dali and the rectangular shapes of the doorway, the easel, even shapes in the background. Kandinsky, wonderful geometric shapes. And Cézanne in still lifes. Still lifes are always a great idea, by the way, for looking at shape and perspective and thinking in terms of 2- and 3-dimensional form. Paul Klee with geometric shapes, dramatic shapes. Again, Matisse, another still life. Mondrian, those geometric, solid, dramatic shapes. As usual, I'm going to refer you to Joy Evans's book because she does have some excellent ideas on how to explore focusing on shape in different types of projects. As you can see, she's used common materials, the construction paper, the types of materials that you can find around your home so you can work on your art projects. It's available at Google, so you can go to the shapes section and see what kinds of alternatives. I have to pop through these one by one, but you can see what kinds of alternatives she shows you for shape, and in particular, think in terms of children. How would you use these kinds of projects with children? In fact, you might want to use children. Do you have any? If you do, pull out that construction paper, that scissors, and let's see if we can't actually experiment with children on shape. Now, I've given you a couple of ideas on books. I love this book, I Spy Shapes in Art. And Tar Beach is another. I have actually included a lesson plan where you might want to recreate that rooftop with all the many shapes in a city rooftop. So take a look, and I believe those are under assignments and alternatives for resources. Here's another example. This artist, or this actually comes from the Monart of my 3rd graders. The teacher in this class found a coloring book, and it was line drawings of famous artists. So she made overheads, and she projected the overheads on the wall, and students actually drew in the air. They drew their shapes, and then they put them to paper. So you can see here's several different students' renditions of Picasso and the various shapes in those paintings. Here's one with tissue, just the basic shapes, the triangular shapes, the circular shapes. Now, oddly enough, believe it or not, this is actually a PowerPoint slide, and I actually created these shapes all with squares. Oftentimes I like to give my students challenges to take a screen on a PowerPoint, for instance, and in this case they're trying to do circular shapes and make flowers, and this is actually all just in PowerPoint with the tools that you have available there. And I can show you those. Creating monsters with shapes. We actually did these shapes, and you can see I used a mobile as the background for these triangular shapes, and there's a background on the slide that's very textural. This actually is right in PowerPoint, designing 3-dimensional shapes, and you can see if you look carefully the rectangles are quite sporadic and not straight, not lined up, not perfect, but you get this essence of a city. And believe it or not, that background was clip art, and I inserted the clip art in the background along with various 3-dimensional shapes in PowerPoint.